Hello, this is your personal sensei for Tuesday, July 7th, 2015. Today, step 15, Cancer rules the day. Step 15, in my opinion, is I feel peace. We're in Cancer, which means we're working on our emotional tone. And the 5 in the step 15 is the point where we reach peace. It's actually halfway through the transit. So if you think about the architecture of incarnation, it takes us to get halfway through any transit before you feel any peace. And that's just the way it is. You'll notice that. Also, if you're born before step 15 in your spectrum, so if your personal day of birth comes on step 0 through step 14, you are always working to find peace in your life. And people who are past step 15 are people who are working with peace but trying to keep it. All right? It's kind of a different variable. So today we're trying to find the peace, and we're finding the peace in our emotions, and we're cooking up what I call our conscious soup. Let's do our conscious cooking for the day. We're cooking our soup, and our soup is our emotional tone. Have you ever noticed that summertime fun always lasts through the year? So if you had a good summer, it lasts through the year. If you had a shitty summer, it lasts through the year. Pardon my French. Shifty summer. But if you did, I think it's because we set our tone when the sun was in Cancer. We set our tone at that time, and so that became our default tone for the whole year. So today, we're really kind of setting our peaceful tone. Step 15 means to set our peaceful tone, and it happens because we take our conscious soup, which is our feelings, and we add an attitude, step 5. All right? If it was just a thought, it would be step 5, but it's step 15, so by now it's an attitude. And this attitude will color our feelings today. And when it cooks up, this new attitude with these certain feelings, and the molecules start bouncing around in our spirit, what comes off, the vapor or the steam, is our ability to open up. We can open up to receiving, we can open up to our feelings, we can open up to people's love, we can open up to receiving a gift, and we often do draw in. So step 15 adds up to Venus, which is I receive, which is the nice peaceful part of step 15. But it comes from adding a particular attitude. So let's dive into how to do just that. But before we do, let's start the day with the phrase of the day. I feel myself today, and I think it's blank. In other words, you insert the word. All right? And this is what you set up for the day. So try it one more time. I feel myself today, and I think it's joyful. That's what I'm going to put in. Label it. And if you can, label it something a little higher than what it really is. So you have to kind of like, try to see at the table, you know what I mean, that you set for yourself. So I feel myself today, and I think it's joyful. I feel myself today, and I think it's positive. I feel myself today, and I think it's one hell of a guy. Whatever it is that you feel today. But the I think part is important because we want to stay mindful of both parts of these in our hemisphere. On one side of our brain, we want to be in touch with our feelings. On the other side of the brain, we want to be mindful not just of any old thought, but one that is here to direct our feelings, likely towards peace or anything that you want to feel today. So this is the magic of how the mind actually contributes to emotion. And think about what word you want to put in and say it one more time to keep it in the mind. I feel myself today, and I think it's joyful. And so it is, because I said so, I thought so. So moving on to our calisthenics, your soul challenge today is to catch yourself in emotional funks at least 3 times. Okay? Try to catch yourself in emotional funks at least 3 times. So I caught myself in a happy funk, and I caught myself in a sad funk, and I caught myself in an angry funk. All right? So catch yourself in a funk, which is not easy, at least not for me, because I don't even realize I've been in a funk until I've already driven over 2 cats and dodged police for 4 hours. You know what I mean? Oh, I think I was in a funk. You know what I mean? At least that's what I tell the judge. But the point is catch yourself in a funk, and when you do, what you meditate on is try to uncover what it is you were thinking about right before the funk. What thought led to the funk? And you will find that a thought leads to a funk, indeed. And you'll see and know what the thinking is. And this actually comes from my childhood because I am such a joyful child, I really was. I wanted to be happy all the time, I did. And so I remember I would get in a bad mood about something and then I'd be happy again and I'd be like, oh, I was in a bad mood. What was I in a bad mood for? And I'd have to think about it. And then as soon as I think about what the bad mood was, I would say like, oh, I'd be in the bad mood again. And I could see right away as a spirit, they're like, oh, look at that. As soon as I thought about it, I was in a bad mood. And overall, my mind was just like, maybe we shouldn't think about it. You know what I mean? Like, because it makes us feel icky. And you will see today in the power of a Step 15 day how the power of your mind, thoughts, communication, words, intellect can truly set the tone and intention and change your entire experience. So try to meditate on what you were thinking about. And that brings us to today's Joy Quest. Your Joy Quest, should you choose to accept it, is rewrite your plight. I always make them rhyme so you remember them. Rewrite your plight. What that means is when you catch yourself in some sort of intellectual rhetoric that's creating an emotional tone, rewrite it. In anything you say to yourself, you have a positive way to go and you have a negative way to go. That is the nature of the smartass known as the Gemini, the twins, right? Our mind. So today, rewrite your plight. If you're headed for some negative plight in any one statement, rewrite it so that you're going to end up feeling good. Use the words or the thoughts that the mind is coloring the emotion with to recolor that plight to bright, okay, or light, but not fright. You see what I'm saying? So today, your joy question you choose to accept it is to rewrite your plight today anytime your mind takes you off track and see what that does for you. Now moving on to our soul calisthenics. I just want to give you a few calisthenics. I don't do it every day now. Don't gripe. I feel like everyone's like, oh. No, I think we have to. First of all, you should know that we're in bright yellow right now, my friends. So a lot of people, a lot of clients, anxiety problems, digestion problems. This is when you work with emotion, when you work with the yellow. A lot of people with this anxiety have had emotion or thoughts that they've been ignoring all year. And when a Gemini Cancer comes, you get that coming up. So remember, deep breath work with bright white light through the crown and out through the yellow, 3 times at least, 12 is divine, and through the back to clear any back stuff, okay? If your lower back hurts, you're holding on to old stuff. Now, once we're in the teens, step 10 and 11 and onward, then our heart chakra, the green, lights up. So your heart is active right now, and that's true for all states of awareness. Some it hits more than the others, but everyone's heart is open, so do some breath work through there. And then, of course, when we get mindful again, we go back to the yellow. So we're in a yellow, kind of green-yellow kind of circle here right now, a mellow yellow kind of circle. They do not sponsor me. And when this mellow yellow circle starts to work, what happens is the I receive opens, which is blue, by the way. We receive actually from the throat chakra. That is where we accept and receive. So these are the places. Yellow, green, yellow, and blue is the sequence of light today. So meditate as you are on these colors on what you are feeling. Meditate on what your thoughts are. Anytime you have a feeling, meditate on the thought. Anytime you have a thought, meditate on the accompanying feeling. Start to see how these two come together. And that wraps it up to now today's telepathy, our final soul.